scored a 46 out of 54 on the ADHD evaluation, which she said is the highest she's ever had anybody in her office score. If you were diagnosed with ADHD in your 30s, you probably spent your whole life thinking that you were lazy, dramatic, or just bad at being an adult. At least that was my experience. Or if you are in your 30s and you feel those things and you haven't been diagnosed, this might be the video for you. This week, at 35 years old, I have been officially diagnosed with severe ADHD, and it has been enlightening, at times discouraging, but honestly sort of mind-blowing. This video is going to be a long, rambly video that's just kind of sort of all over the place, but my channel has always been about talking about the ugly parts that people don't like to talk about, don't like to show, in hopes that it can help even just one person. It might not be the most coherent video that I have ever posted, but I think it's going to do a really good job at showing you, giving you a glimpse into how my mind was functioning, how my brain was functioning then versus right now. And spoiler alert, as of right now, my life has quietly but very dramatically changed. As a disclaimer, before we get into the video, I am not a medical professional. I am not trying to diagnose people. I am not trying to give you a diagnosis or make you think, whatever. I am not a medical professional. Do not come to me for any kind of medical advice, any kind of diagnosis. I'm just here to share my experience. And if you see a little bit of yourself in me, then maybe it'll help guide you on the right track. The reason this video might be a little bit all over the place is because I'm including clips right now as I'm about a week into my diagnosis. There's also clips before showing you glimpses into my day. There's clips from when I started a treatment plan. So it's kind of all there. I'm going to share insights into my day, why I decided to get evaluated, a little bit about what the evaluation looked like, what my treatment plan is, and how I am processing it all, how it's going as of right now, just kind of an overall look into it. So it's going to be a little bit long, a little bit incoherent, but hopefully it'll be useful. Like I said, it's a bit of a long one, so I don't know, maybe put me on in the background and listen to it while you're doing laundry or dishes or something. So last week, actually almost like an exact week, today's Wednesday, I was diagnosed last Thursday. I was diagnosed with severe ADHD at 35 years old. My psychiatrist told me that I evaluated higher than anybody that she has ever evaluated in her office. I don't know that I believe that, but that's what she said, just to give you some insight into how chaotic my life and my brain are. I posted a reel the very next day about it, making light of it, because the diagnosis was kind of heavy. Some of the realizations were pretty heavy, and I felt like if you don't laugh, you'll cry.
And probably will be for life.
Since then, I've had people question my diagnosis, try to diagnose me with other things, and mock my treatment plan. Apparently, if you share a literal 3-second clip of you cleaning online, you are either tweaking or abusing substances. Who knew? So first things first, I want to briefly mention comments like this. Essentially, I've had a few people say, if you had severe ADHD, you would have been diagnosed as a child. Like most people who were diagnosed with ADHD late in life, I had all of the typical symptoms and interactions that are associated with ADHD, but they were either overlooked or misdiagnosed. You guys are actually getting a real first-hand glimpse into the changes that treatment has made in me, because my camera keeps cutting off every few minutes. So if I'm not paying attention to my monitor and noticing that it cuts off, I just continue rambling and then it's not recorded. And it's a whole thing, but we are calm, cool, and collected. So I think I was saying that Like most people diagnosed late in life, I showed all the symptoms and had the associations with ADHD, but it was just overlooked or misdiagnosed. I often heard, "You are so smart, but you don't apply yourself." I heard that so many times, and the comment stung every time because what I heard essentially was, "You are lazy," but I knew that internally I was trying so hard. I also had your standard, like on the report card where they put she's a social butterfly, but that's a whole other thing. The fact of the matter is that society still, even to this day, associates ADHD with hyperactivity and restlessness. So women often go undiagnosed until later in life because they don't necessarily experience ADHD in that same way. Please forgive me if you keep seeing me like look down. It's because, like I said, the camera's cutting in and off, on and off, so I'm checking to make sure that we're still recording. I don't want to screw this up, so I wrote this down. About 61% of women receive their diagnosis as adults, with people 30 to 44 years old representing the largest group for new ADHD diagnosis. Us women were often labeled as anxious, messy, emotional. Okay, y'all, I fear I'm going to lose my mind because it just keeps happening. But many of us women were labeled anxious, depressed, lazy, overwhelmed, emotional, instead of being evaluated properly. So as women, we tend to internalize the chaos instead of showing it externally. ADHD research historically centers around boys who are unable to stay still, whereas girls, we learn to mask the symptoms, to overcompensate, to be high achieving but exhausted, to look functional while drowning internally, which was my experience. Also, just a funny little side note, everybody who knows me personally that's related to me, close to me in my life, they were like, "Oh, that makes sense. That tracks." So when I posted that reel and shared more insights on my stories, something unexpected happened. Women started messaging me. "Wait, this sounds like me." Friends, family, strangers on the internet, people who never even considered the possibility of ADHD because they weren't bouncing off of walls or getting detention slips their whole life. And I see this just as supporting evidence that women tend to suffer silently. But I want to reiterate, I am not here to hand out diagnoses. My pages have always been to share my experience, not to educate. I essentially had a team of 3 mental health clinicians and a primary doctor help me to get to this point. So, why did I decide to get evaluated? To really put it into perspective for you, I just have to laugh because it's like the perfect example of ADHD. I picked up the paperwork for this evaluation 2 years ago. And if that's not ADHD, I don't know what is. I took one look at that paperwork and my brain decided it was too overwhelming, it was too vulnerable, and I had too much to do. So I just threw it off to the side. But I had reached a point recently where I just reached a breaking point. I was exhausted. I was overwhelmed. I had the most intense brain fog of my entire life. If I tried to have a thought, if I tried to do something, it literally felt like I was hitting a wall of fog. Like I could not move past that point. I couldn't even focus in on a thought process. At the same time, one of my children was showing signs of ADHD, and ADHD is genetic. So seeing that in my own child, it made me take a deeper look at my own struggles. And I figured if I do have ADHD and I have struggled all this time, maybe I can help my child recognize it sooner and not go through the same struggles, not necessarily even with medication, but just to know that they have it, to have that acknowledgement and be able to move through life with that acknowledgement. I didn't want my child essentially to go through what I had to go through if I had ADHD. I am going to share some of the symptoms that I had later in the video, but just know when you're watching that was the tip of the iceberg. If I shared everything that I deal with, the way that my brain functions, this would be a 10-part series. And I guess if you guys are interested in that, let me know. I just essentially felt like life was harder than it needed to be despite doing all the right things. It also didn't help that I'm a stay-at-home mom, and I'm not discrediting stay-at-home moms, but I didn't have the very present consequences that would happen for people working full-time jobs. So I just ultimately felt like I was a broken human that could not figure out how to adult properly, even though I wanted to so bad. And I didn't want my child having that same experience. So where did I go to get the evaluation and the diagnosis? I went to a psychiatrist that is already somewhat aware of my life situation, my life story, because someone in my life goes to them and that person directly affects my life. They directly impact my day-to-day. Every office has a different protocol, but my office essentially sits you down for a few hours and goes through every facet of your life. My psychiatrist kind of she takes you through the initial questionnaire for ADHD, and then I don't know how much I included this in different parts of the video. I think I included it later, so I'm not going to go too in depth here. But essentially, my psychiatrist sits you down for a few hours, and goes through all the different facets of your life. She had me take the ADHD questionnaire. She didn't walk me through the first page at all. The second page, I think I already spoke about this, which is why I'm going quickly. She said I likely wouldn't show many signs on that page because it's more geared towards children. I, in fact, did show many signs on that page, and I think I talked about it later, but just know that I lessened the severity of my symptoms on those questions because I was kind of embarrassed. I felt kind of ashamed. So she went through that, and at the same time, as you're talking about life and your experiences and things that you feel, she would also take me through depression evaluations and OCD evaluations and mania evaluation. So everything just to make sure that we were on the right track and we weren't looking at something different. Okay, so what is my treatment plan? My treatment plan, and this is a very sensitive topic I have since found out in the week that I've been in this world. My treatment plan, I did decide to start medication. She asked me whether I wanted to, I don't know if I'm using the right verbiage here. She asked me if I wanted to start a stimulant medication or a non-stimulant. I don't think that's the verbiage, because I know those are for two different ADHD styles. But essentially, do you want to start the medications that you guys all hear of, the Adderall, the Ritalin, whatever, or do you want to start these other medications I think that maybe are a little more, I don't even want to say natural. Hopefully you know what I'm saying, because I'm not educated enough to speak on it. But I told her, I said, I don't know enough about this. I don't know enough about this medication to make that decision. You are the medical professional. I just need you to know that I'm here because I'm desperate. I have reached a breaking point. I cannot function. My brain feels like it's dead. And I also didn't mention, and this might not be the place to mention this, but I just will really quick. I was becoming very fearful of having a form of dementia because I have a family member in a care center for Alzheimer's, and I was constantly hearing from my family, I'm really concerned about your memory. I'm really scared for you. You need to start taking supplements. So this became a really scary thing for me. And it kind of made me think this is a point where you either get treatment or you keep getting worse and it's going to affect your brain even worse. And maybe that's not true. I don't know. I've read things, but I'm not here to speak on that because I'm, again, not a medical professional. But that was also kind of one of my just decisions and one of my thought processes in making that decision, because I go and visit this family member every week and it is a devastating disease. It is heartbreaking to watch, and it just it scares me. After speaking with her, she did think that it would be best if I started Adderall, and that is what I did. She started me on a very, very low dose from what I understand. Right now, I am on 10 milligrams. And when she started, I took it AM and PM, and the AM pill was 5 milligrams, the PM pill was 5 milligrams. I started by cutting both in half. Then a few days later, we started with taking a whole in the morning, a half in the evening, and then now I'm at the point where I'm taking a whole 5 milligram in the AM and 5 milligram in the PM. Before I go into all of the random clips that I recorded, I do just want to say this. I jokingly posted a 6 or 7 second reel making light of the energy and the focus that I felt after starting treatment. But to be serious, without going too deep, I am experiencing calm, clarity, and emotional steadiness that I haven't experienced probably ever. And I'm also recognizing that this is probably the way that some people live all the time. I am eating more, I'm sleeping better, I'm having healthier interactions with my family than I probably ever have. It has been a very dramatic shift with a lot of reflection and realizations. Yes, my house is crazy clean right now. You could eat off of my toilets because I'm not jumping from task to task to task with 800 half-finished tasks laying around my house. But that is just a reflection of the mental clarity I'm feeling. That is just a smaller part to a bigger picture. Realizing this has been both encouraging and heartbreaking. Thinking back on missed opportunities, job opportunities, creative endeavors, things I started and never finished. It's sad to think what could have been had I had the proper help, the proper tools, the proper resources. But it's also encouraging to know that should my child have ADHD, they won't have to struggle the way that I did. So anyways, I don't know how this video is going to be structured, especially since this has given me so much trouble. Did I even start the mic? I hope I did. I did. This has been giving me so much trouble just to get this filmed. I don't even know how the video is going to be formatted. So I guess at this point, enjoy these random clips that I took throughout the week that felt like my brain was on fire trying to plan for them and organize them. But I just cannot say enough. If you feel you might have ADHD, I understand. I feel like shame is not the right word for it, right? Like, I never had shame that I thought I had it. Oh, I didn't touch on this in the video. I have been unofficially diagnosed ADHD for years. I have had like my kids' therapist, my therapist, a marriage counselor, like they have all told me I am very confident that you have ADHD. My primary care doctor was like, I am very confident that you have ADHD, but none of them could give me an official diagnosis. So that's kind of where I'm at. I don't remember why I was going there. I think my medicine is weaning off and it's time for my second pill. But my point being, I understand there's like, with me, it was this thing where it's like everybody has something. And more specifically, because I have anxiety as well, those two things, it feels like everybody has ADHD and anxiety now. You hear it constantly. And so it was kind of one of those things where it's like, but everybody has ADHD. Is it just our phones? Is it just TV? Is it our attention span? And what I've been learning since then, just as a little side note, phones maybe don't create symptoms of ADHD. They just exacerbate those symptoms in people that have ADHD. So I just was having that feeling like everybody has it. Like, I'm going to go in, this woman's going to think I'm crazy. Like, it was just so validating to have somebody. I mean, she has had a 10-minute conversation with me and she knew right away. It's like, you have ADHD. She clocked the way I was like twitching with my fingers or the way I was like darting my eyes across the room as I was reading the paper. Like, she clocked all these small things without me saying anything, without her saying anything to me. And so it was just validating to have somebody, say this is what it is. So I just encourage you. I understand that it is easier said than done. I told you in the beginning of this video, I had the paperwork in my house for 2 years before I finally went in and had the evaluation done. I understand it is easier said than done. But so far, and I'm hoping this stays this way. And I've had a little bit of anxiety just thinking that things could fall off or I could crash and burn. So far, this has been life-changing. It has been the way that I'm functioning day to day, the way I feel just steady in my emotions. I don't feel overwhelmed. Usually recording videos like this, I would have never, knowing that I have a party to get to in like 3 hours, I would have never sat down and filmed this video today. And I just did. And I said, it is what it is. Whatever comes out of it is what comes out of it. It might be the worst quality video I've ever done, the best quality video done, whatever, I'm doing it. I cannot stress enough how helpful it has been, how dramatic the shift has been. And so I just encourage you, if you feel that you might have it, you could have it, your children might have it, just go talk to somebody, get evaluated. I already made an evaluation for my child. Since I officially got my diagnosis, I went and immediately made the evaluation for my child just so that they can know. So I hope this is helpful for you guys. Enjoy the chaoticness of the rest of this video, and I will talk to you guys in the next one. Bye. I am sitting here at my, hold on, the dryer is on and I feel overstimulated. That was definitely not the dryer, that was the washing machine, and I can't turn it off, so I had to close the door. So I am sitting here at my dining room table going through things that I have put off for the past few weeks, and I was just sitting here thinking, like, this is the perfect example of how my brain doesn't function in a way that is efficient. It is one of the key issues that makes me just like feel insecure and stupid and lazy and like I can't keep up, because so for the past like 2-3 weeks my brain has been, the only way I can describe it is it has just been foggy, completely foggy. I have not been able to do anything. I have been a completely useless human being. Now, to be fair, about 2 weeks ago I did have migraines, so that's its own separate things, but then the 2 weeks since then, trying to get back into like real life after having the migraine hangover has just been, it's been so difficult. And every time I try to sit down and plan something or be productive or take care of something, it's like I hit a wall. I hit a wall and I can't break through it. Like I cannot physically focus on something, so I get nothing done. So things that are easy, simple tasks that should have been done within minutes, hours maybe, they take weeks sometimes months. And I'm talking easy things. Like one thing on here is scheduling a dental appointment for my son. Another thing was changing a medication for my husband. Another thing was refilling a medication for myself. I have my pet bills here that I need to scan into my pet insurance app. That literally takes all of 2 minutes, but it has been sitting here since, let's see, what is the date of this? It has been sitting here since the last week of November. So just things like this that I'm just like, why does it take so long to get this stuff done? But then I've gotten it all done within like 2 hours this morning. I have done so much stuff this morning to be productive, and yet I couldn't get it done for 3 weeks. And this is just what it's like living in my brain. And somebody else would see that and be like, just do it. What is so difficult about it? Just do it. And that's how I feel. It's my own brain. I am getting so distracted and so overstimulated by this cat right now. Anyways, as I said, I have just been sitting here catching up on all the things that I could not get myself to do for the past few weeks. It's like this up and down of like hyper focus, hyper productivity, and then I get really tired and really down on myself and just really like unable to function and process. I think maybe that's one of the most pressing issue for me when it comes to like finally getting evaluated and a official diagnosis for ADHD, because that is not a proper way to live. Like you cannot be an effective member of society that way. I am so blessed and I'm aware of it all the time. I am so blessed that I stay home as a stay-at-home mom, that I work from home, but I just do, you know, like content creation, extra like small things, photography, whatever, because I often find myself in these modes where I'm like, how could I function as a person in an office? And maybe some of this is just because I never had to do that. I mean, I did many years ago when I was in high school, but I have been a stay-at-home mom since my kids were born, and I had my first kid at 19 years old. So I trust and believe, I realize how blessed I am, how privileged I am. And just like as a little side note, that doesn't mean that there haven't been sacrifices that have been made to do that. Like obviously a one income family is, you know, has a lot of different setups and processes and just the way that we move through the world that somebody with a 2-income family, I forgot where I was going, like what I was saying, but does not. Like, it comes with its own set of sacrifices, but because I have always been able to function on my own schedule for the most part, I've never had to really like create and lock into those processes that some people with ADHD rely on. I mean, people in the real world, they have to rely on those things. And people in the real world, I am really twisting my words up here because being a stay-at-home mom, this is real world. I'm very busy, I'm very involved, I'm very active, I'm constantly doing things. I'm rarely ever home, I'm never seated down. So that didn't make sense. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm really sorry, but you're just kind of getting a glimpse in my mind lately. I'm coming out of the fog, but it's still a little bit there. But my point is that in the real world, with somebody that has to work outside of the home, you have to create processes, you have to create systems that work for you. And while I do have those in my life with what I do, when I'm not able to, or those aren't effective, or I'm not able to, you know, really use those systems to their full capabilities, whatever, I don't have like those massive real world consequences like somebody that goes to work would. For example, if you know, don't stay on track at work, you get fired and then you lose your income. Like, I understand all of that, but I think just in this, 5-minute clip, you have seen within a 5-minute period the way that my brain is all the time. And it's getting harder and harder the older I get to just focus. It's getting harder to carry on conversations because I lose track of things. Like, I lose track of, you know, thought processes, and you know, that makes me feel stupid sometimes. Sometimes it makes me feel uneducated, and it's just because my brain is so tired. I have fought it for so long that now I'm just tired. Now I'm just like, I would rather just come off messy and chaotic and embarrassed than try to keep up with it because my brain is just so tired. So anyways, I need to lock back in. I need to get this stuff done because I was being really productive, and now I feel myself slipping back into like, okay, I've done enough, my brain's tired, but no, I need to get this done right now. But I just thought it would be a good opportunity to show you a very real life example of why my brain is just making my life very difficult right now. I don't remember where I left off recording the last clip, but I'm having a bit of a moment that I did not expect to have. Like, truly did not expect to have. I don't know why my mic is shaking. My mic is shaking. Stop. Why are we doing that? Anyways, I guess I'm just gonna hold it because I don't know what's going on. I'm having a moment because I can't. Hold on. Give me a second. I think my microphone was shaking because I had a fan on, which I never do when I'm recording, but I thought hopefully like having the mic, I could have the fan on. I cannot breathe. Anyways, I'm having a moment because I just left my appointment with the psychiatrist. I And like the long story short of it is, she told me that what is the word I'm looking for? That I scored a 46 out of 54 on the ADHD evaluation, which she said is the highest she's ever had anybody in her office score. I have heard this is like a thing, but I didn't think it was going to happen to me, that when you finally have somebody like validate that experience for you, you spend so much of your life telling yourself like, everyone has this, everyone has that, like you're making this up in your head, like you and to have somebody validate that, it makes you like sit and reflect on everything about yourself, that the things that you have told yourself, that you have spoken negativity into yourself. Like for me, being on this YouTube channel, if you're watching, this is the first video you've seen from me, you wouldn't know that I have been making YouTube videos since 2008 or 2009. I have been here a long time. And if you are somebody who has followed me for all of those years watching my videos, you would know that I'm so inconsistent. Like, so inconsistent. And I would jump from one topic to the next. Like, one minute, my page was like a health and fitness page. And then the next minute, it was documenting like my minimalism journey. And then it was like documenting my plant-based journey. And I could never figure out how to make all of those things coexist into one. And it comes off very like spacey, very flighty, very like she says she's going to do something and then she quits. And that's because like living with ADHD, like I do, I'm not going to speak for everybody, I'm constantly jumping from thing to thing. There are so many parts of me, like I have so many interests and just so many like things that I want to do and things that I'm passionate about and things that are important to me. But the problem is I get super hyper focused on things for a little bit, and then I have to focus on something else, because you have to, like, you can't stay hyper focused on one thing for your entire life. So like, let's say I'm hyper focused on doing house projects. Well, that can only go on for so long before you have to get into the real world and you have to pay attention to, I don't know, taking care of your pets. And so then you become hyper focused on giving your pets the best. What are the best bowls? What are the best supplements? What are the best, like you're constantly deep diving into things because you want to do it to the highest possible like achievement level, but that is not possible. You can't maintain that forever. Even having this conversation right now, I'm thinking back, what did I just say? Did any of that make sense? Because my brain went to so many different outlets just in that 3 minutes or whatever, and I don't even think it created a coherent, cohesive thought. And so, to be honest with you, I don't even think I rated, is that even the word? I don't think I rated appropriately for the level of ADHD. It's not called level of ADHD, but just for sake of conversation, for like how severe my anxiety is, because at my office, she had me fill out this in-depth questionnaire, and she said in the first part, she didn't say anything during the first part. Like, she kind of helped me whenever it was like, it would ask me questions like, do you have a hard time focusing? And I would ask her, you see, things like that are why I'm always confused, because I hyper focus for days on things. Like, I'm so hyper focused. And then I become so hyper focused for so long that I burn out. And then for the next few days, I'm in a depressive state. I'm exhausted. I can't focus. So I will just move through tasks haphazardly, like just to get it done. She was like, that's ADHD. So things like that, she kind of walked me through. But she told me in the first page I would probably score high on things. And she didn't tell me this, though, until I got to the second page. And when I got to the second page, she said, on the first page, you probably scored really high on things. But on the second page, did I say first page? I don't know. On the second page, you're probably not going to score very high, because those are things that we see in children more so. So once she said that, I kind of felt like, oh, a little part of me felt like maybe shame, maybe embarrassment. I used the word judgment, but I didn't feel like she was going to judge me, but it was just kind of that that thought process. So whenever it asked me a question, even though I felt like I rated a 5 from 1 to 5, I put a 3 because I was like, well, she says that we don't really see this in adults, so I don't want to like say that I'm a 5 when that's kind of embarrassing. So my point is, I rated high. My score for ADHD total rated high. But if I would have answered honestly, I probably, not even probably, I know for a fact, I would have rated even higher. I don't really want to like go super in depth about like the process of being diagnosed, because I don't think I had like maybe a typical process, because I know a lot of people go through these like super complex evaluations where they like sit at computers for 2 days and it's like pattern recognition and number recognition and all these different things. But my psychiatrist, she essentially said that they typically do that type of testing more so for children, because children don't know how to verbalize what they're feeling, or maybe they don't understand what they're feeling. So they do that stuff just to like recognize patterns and like thought processes, whereas adults can look at the questions and know, does this apply to me? How does this apply to me? That should make sense. Hopefully that makes sense. So it was basically just like a questionnaire. Like I sat with her for about an hour and I did a questionnaire, and then I talked through stuff with her. And then as we were talking through stuff, she did like other smaller evaluations just to make sure that we were on the right path. Like if I was talking about my depression or my intrusive thoughts, she brought out like a depression evaluation, which I have depression, but my depression is more so, I guess today what she said seems like it's caused from overstimulation, which is actually a symptom of ADHD. Because when I'm depressed, it's not like your, I guess, standard depression. Like I don't necessarily lose interest for things, or I do. I feel sad and whatnot, but for the most part, I just kind of want to like be by myself in my bed reading a book. So it's like more so I just need to be by myself. I don't want people talking to me, touching me, doing anything. I just want to like be by myself. So like she would do questionnaires for that. And then when we talked about like hyperfocus and coming down from that and being tired, then she had to kind of evaluate me for mania, manic behavior, which I know I don't experience that. My ADHD can kind of like resemble mania, because again, I get super hyper focused on things for a few days and then I crash and burn. But it's not really a manic thing. It's more just like I can't shut my brain off, and I need to like, if I decide I want to decorate my house, well then I'm up for days creating mood boards and like getting inspiration. And a lot of that too is just because I'm a creative person. So if I'm not being creative, I start to feel depressed. So it all kind of weaves together. You see what I'm saying? Like we had to make sure that it wasn't just like ADHD. And it can also be tied in with my anxiety. A lot of women are misdiagnosed with anxiety when actually what they're experiencing is ADHD. And so there was just a lot of talk about that and like what that's going to look like. And maybe the anxiety will go down when I start medication. Maybe I'll find that I never had anxiety. Anyway, so what I'm saying is I could go on. I just got a text message saying that my prescription is filled. So that should be interesting. The first time I will ever be on any kind of like ADHD medication. I never took it recreationally. Like I know a lot of people in college take Adderall to focus. I never did that. So anyways, I thought that I would show you guys. I'm not gonna go through like all of it, because one, I think some of it is unique to you. Also, that would be a really boring video, although I'm already planning on this being kind of a long, drawn out video. But I thought I would take you through my notes, showing you a few of the things I wrote down for why I think I might have ADHD. And to be honest with you, I started this list about 5 times and then I got distracted and went to something else. So some things that I wrote down. I zone out listening to I zone out listening to podcasts and audiobooks. So I listen to a lot of podcasts. I don't have like a super difficult time with that just because I listen to podcasts that I'm interested in, and part of ADHD is like getting that dopamine hit from things that we are interested in and then just not being able to focus on things that we're not. And I guess you could say like everybody experiences that, but not to the degree of somebody with ADHD from what I understand. I'm not like a professional on ADHD. If we don't get a dopamine hit, it's like it's not there. We don't see it. We're not doing it. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. So I enjoy the podcast I'm listening to, but there are times when I notice that I'm driving and I completely zone out and I missed half a conversation and I have to rewind a bunch. I have tried. I'm a huge book person. If you're interested, I have a book talk account where I post like every single day. It is probably the most consistent thing that I have ever done. So I try to listen to audiobooks, but they just don't keep my attention. It doesn't matter if I'm listening to them at 1 speed, 2 speed, like they do not keep my attention. So I put easy tasks take hours, weeks, or months when I'm unfocused, but minutes when hyper-focused. So for example, making appointments. This ADHD appointment, for example, I kept putting it off because I didn't want to call and make the appointment. I just was like, I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to call. It's something that literally once I did it, it took me 30 seconds, a minute. It took me a minute to do. But it took me 2 years to complete that. Like I will spend days unable to sleep or focus on anything else when I am hyper-focused. What am I trying to say there? Oh, I think I was saying I will spend days unable to sleep, or I will focus on things when I'm hyper-focused and not be able to focus on anything else. So for example, I put namely home projects and or creative endeavors. So what I'm saying is until I get one project done, I can't think about anything else. So if I'm thinking right now about painting my owner's bathroom, I will not be able to focus on anything else. Like it's like I'm physically incapable of working multiple projects at a time. I have to be all in 100% on this one thing. And when that becomes a problem is when you have tasks that have to take months. Like I do have tasks. I'm not going to mention the details because it's kind of personal for other people. But like right now I'm working on something that it is impossible. It's physically impossible to get it done in a month. It has to be done and logged over multiple month periods. But because I'm in the middle of that, I'm having such a hard time focusing on anything else because my brain can only think of that. But a person cannot be focused on one thing for 3 months and everything else fall to the wayside. You see what I'm saying? But then when that happens, I completely crash and I take at least a week to recover. So I will spend days not sleeping, hyper-focused on a project, and then I will crash and burn and have to recover for like a week. Just unable to do anything. Tired, sometimes depressed. It's the biggest disruption to my life. I have to have mindless activities to shut my brain off every single day, no matter how exhausted I am. And I put in parentheses reading, gaming, etc. So here's a really good example. When I go to concerts, I have been to concerts that have been, 4 hours long. And by the end of it, think about a concert. Like you have to arrive early because you're in a line. You're amongst thousands of people. You have to arrive early, probably 2 to 3 hours early. Then you go to the concert, which is another 3 to 4 hours. Then getting home, like getting to the hotel or getting to the house and unwinding, taking a shower, all the things. Once I do all that, I can be so tired, dead tired, and I still have to lay in bed and read a book for at least 5 minutes. There have been times I have literally laid in bed and read 1 page of a book. That's it. And then I put it down and went to sleep because I have to have something that just completely shuts off my brain before I go to sleep. I put things like meal planning overwhelms me. I will eat the same meal for weeks on end. This is a big one just in terms of like this channel, my Instagram page, because I have always kind of been in the health and fitness and wellness space. Not really wellness, health and fitness, I guess you could say. And here's the problem. When I am able to focus on meal planning, I do really well with my meals. I track it, breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks. When I'm not in that mode, I maybe eat 1 meal a day. And so that's why I've always struggled to create content around that because I'm not trying to educate people because I don't eat right. You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm not able to focus on food all day long. I just can't do it. My brain is going too many other places. It's a problem. I'm not going to go any further in depth with that. I pick up new hobbies constantly, spending tons of money on it, ultimately becoming overwhelmed, moving on to the next hobby all the time. I can't even tell you the amount of things that I have done, like the amount of journals that I own. I have a pottery wheel, which I so badly want to get into pottery, but I'm not going to go into that, why I don't, but it's things like that. Like I've picked up coloring one time, journaling, songwriting. Goodness, I have so many hobbies that if I could just like nail one and be really good at it and monetize that, I would be so successful. But I'm constantly on to the next thing, and it makes me very impulsive. I buy a lot of stuff for it, which is not good. It's not responsible with money. I lose track of bills / important papers. I just told my husband today that thank God for him, because he is the complete opposite. He is very much like, he can store everything in his brain of like, oh, the mortgage is due on this day and the electricity is due this day and blah, blah, blah. And he like is very on top of that. I have gone where I forget to pay stuff and it goes to collections. Like I can't keep up with it. It affects my day-to-day, because like last year I put my kids' school photo form on the fridge and I told myself, order their photos. I never did. I got back to it like a year and a half later, tried to go in with the code that was on the paper, and of course it said these photos are no longer available. Well, no shit, they're no longer available, but it took me a year and a half to get to it. So there's that. I have poor time management. So usually you hear people with ADHD, they're late to everything. I actually have the exact opposite problem, which I have found is also a symptom of ADHD. So if you tell me, for example, right, my psychiatry appointment today was in a town not 20 minutes away, probably 20 minutes from my house. It was at 11:30. My husband called me at 8:35 and asked me if I wanted to go to breakfast with him. And I was like, I can't possibly do that. Like, I have to go home and I have to feed the animals, and then I have to put on mascara, and then I'm going to have to go to the appointment. Like, and he was like, okay, your appointment's at 11:30. But my brain, I have to be super early to things because I don't want to be late. Like, I'm so in fear of being late to everything. There have been times when I have gone to appointments, birthday parties, and I have gone early and sat like down the road for 30 minutes just on the side of the road because I didn't want to be late. When I go to pick my kids up from school every day, they get out at 3:30. I am in line by 3:12, but before that, I've spent like 10 minutes down the street on the side of the road waiting to go to the line. It's something I have to be early. And then not only do I have to be early, but like if I'm going to make this big appointment or I have to drive out of town for something, well, my brain goes, well, this is my whole day. My whole day now is this. So I can't do anything else. I cannot possibly fit anything else into my day. I have a dentist appointment that's an hour away. Well, I guess I'm going to have to leave to make sure I have an hour before the appointment. Just sit there so I'm not late. And then once I'm there, I'm like, well, surely I'm out of town, so I need to go find food. It's a whole thing. I fear I'm not being very coherent in this video, but I think this is giving you a good insight into maybe what ADHD looks like at 35 years old when you are just so tired and you can't keep a train of thought. I'm so sorry. I set reminders for everything because I forget everything. All day long, I'm pushing my button on my phone. Hey Siri, remind me at 12:30 to take this medication. Hey Siri, remind me at 2:30 to clean the pet's water bowl. Hey Siri, remind me at 3:30 that I need to drop a check off to so-and-so. That's my whole day. The reminders on my phone, you don't even want to see them. I lose my train of thought in the middle of conversations, filming videos. I don't know where I'm going with it. And then I start to like get in my head about it. Like, what were you saying? Where were you going with that? Do they think that you're stupid? Do they like, are they following? Are they like, are you making any sense at all? I often am in the middle of a conversation and I have to tell the person, I don't even know where I was going with that. And do you know how humiliating that is? To tell somebody, I don't even know what I was talking about? humiliating. When I was in school, I was always told that I'm really smart, I just don't apply myself. And that always made me feel like complete and utter shit because I tried really hard. I always felt like I had to try 5 times harder than all of my classmates around me. I felt like everything just came easy to them. If a teacher, gave us instructions, they would just start and I would look at them and go, what are we supposed to do? I don't understand this. Like, I just always felt like I had to try really, really hard. And so to have somebody tell you that you're really smart, you're just not applying yourself, that's what a lot of people with ADHD experience. They feel stupid. We feel stupid and lazy our whole lives, and like everybody else has just got it together and we can't figure it out. We cannot figure out how to be literal human beings. I'm impulsive. So for things like if I want a haircut, I need it right now. When I was a kid, if I wanted my hair done, that's just an example, hair. If I wanted my hair done, I would tell my mom, make an appointment. If she didn't make an appointment right then and there, I said, no, like I need it now. Can we please go to the mall and see if they'll take me? Now with my hairstylist, I have had to, she's very busy. She's very booked up. I love her. She's very, very busy. And so now whenever I kind of go through it and I need to have my hair done, I get like almost shaky because she can never schedule me until, 3 weeks out or something like that. And I'm like, but I want it now. This has probably saved me from doing a lot of crazy things because yes, I have wanted to do crazy chemical treatments on my hair. I've wanted to dye my hair red. Like, it's probably for the best. I jump from task to task in the home. I think this is the one that you hear about most often with women with ADHD. Well, women that stay home and take care of the home and whatnot. I am that person who I'll be like, oh, this paper here, I need to file it. So I'll go to file it, which is in my closet. And then I'm in my closet. I'm like, oh, there's stuff on the floor. Why is there stuff on the floor? I need to hang it up. So I'll pick stuff up, put it on the hanger. And then I'll see the hangers and I go, oh, there's clothes in the laundry. Like, I need to go do that. And then I'm in the laundry room and I see, I don't know, a piece of dirt on the floor. And so then I'm like, well, now I have to sweep the floor. Like, and then I'll start mopping. And then I realize, oh my gosh, my Roombas, I need to order new parts for the mop and whatnot or whatever. Like, and it's so bad. I don't ever complete a task. I jump from task to task to task to task. This video is going to be a mess, but whatever. Like, this is where we are at in my life. This is one of the reasons, this is the biggest reason I finally went in for the ADHD evaluation, because everything is chaotic. My whole life right now is chaotic because my brain is chaos. Anyways, I jumped on real quick to say I just picked up my ADHD medication for the first time. The doctor put me on Adderall. She told me to start, so cut it in half, AM and PM, and then in 2 days I will cut the AM in half and then, or keep the AM in whole and then cut the PM in half, and then eventually take the whole AM and PM. AM and PM, it starts to sound funny the more that you say it. I am going to do that. I'm like skeptical about medication, which again, I think just based on the research that I've done and people's experience, seems to be like a common occurrence. I kind of feel like I asked her what would the medication do, because she wanted to know, like, I'm going to talk to you in this many days to see how the medication is going, how it's working. I was like, well, I don't know anything about the medication, so what is the medication supposed to do for me? And she went into asking the typical thing that we all hear. She's like, so when you're at home and you start laundry, and I just started laughing because I knew exactly where this was going. She says, when you start doing laundry, do you stop your laundry to start another task, and then you jump from that task to another task and that task to another task without finishing them, and then next thing you know, you have 10 half-finished tasks? And I was like, yeah, that's my everyday. And she's like, so the medicine will stop that. And I've heard that same thing from other people in my life that are on medicine, but I'm pushing back. I'm like, but how? Like, I've been doing that my whole life, so why would medicine all of a sudden stop me from doing that? Because I get it logistically, like my brain understands that it helps you focus on one task, but I'm like, but if I'm doing this task over here and I see that, of course I'm going to do that really quick. So I guess we'll see. I guess we will see if that is what the medication does. But again, like I said, I'm skeptical. I'm just kind of still of the belief, like, well, what if I don't even have ADHD? Like, what if I don't need medication? But I took the first pill. So I don't think I'll notice anything the first time because it's such a tiny, tiny, tiny dose. But I will keep you guys in the know. I just went to get my second coffee of the day. Although I drink decaf, so I don't order caffeinated coffee. What changes have I seen since starting treatment? I want to be very clear. I am only, 6 days into this. So I am at the very beginning of my journey. I am still learning what works best for me, and I'm still having moments every day of realization, not even knowing that things that I was experiencing were abnormal. So this is just a very quick rundown. There are probably so much more, but I'm just going to read off what I've kind of written here. The first, I've heard, I don't know if this is true, but I have heard that everybody kind of has that first like aha moment with treatment in ADHD. And this is going to sound maybe so bizarre, but my very first aha moment was that I was able to make easy eye contact with people. I remember my husband was speaking to me and I was looking deep into his eyes, and I had that thought process like, wow, I am really looking into his eyes. And that might sound so crazy, but I had a habit of being like this when somebody was talking to me. Like, I knew I was supposed to look at them, so I would look at them for a second or two and then I would look away. Look at them, look away. Look. It was just so hard for me to maintain eye contact. Now when people are talking to me, I have to actually be mindful not to be scary because I am like locked in. Within 3 hours of starting treatment, this is why I made that reel, because I just thought it was funny. Within 3 hours of starting treatment, I was scrubbing my bathroom. Scrubbing it. And maybe you're like, but ADHD, like treatment, that doesn't equate to a clean house, whatever. But for me, it did, because long story short, I'm not going to go too deep into it, but the context is that I had spent the past 4 days in bed feeling depressed because my brain was just so overwhelmed. I could not function. I was depressed. I was sad. I was crying. Started the medication within 3 hours. I was ready to go. And it wasn't like a burst of energy. It was more just like I felt the clarity and I lacked the overwhelm. So it was like, I know what I need to do right now. I need to clean my bathroom. Let's go. Let's do it. And I found it therapeutic. I have way more energy, and I'm sure people won't believe this, but for the first literal time in my life, I don't feel exhausted. I have spoken to many doctors about having chronic fatigue, and we could never figure out why. And I just always assumed it was because I had anxiety. I just assumed it was because my brain is on overdrive all day long, being anxious, like looking for threats, that I was tired. I have felt it my entire life, even as a kid with sports. I'm a big like fitness girly now, working out. I always hit this wall. Like, I am just always exhausted. I have never felt rested a day in my life. I have never woken up feeling like, wow, I got a great night's sleep. Like, I am so energetic. Has never happened. This is the first time in my life I'm waking up ready to go, and I'm like, wow, I actually have energy. I don't even know if I should mention this, but I feel like it's something I've noticed, and maybe this is like an adjustment that I need in my medication, but I am finding that I kind of zone out, which is like ADHD itself, but like in a more focused way. I don't know if that makes sense. I feel like that doesn't make sense, but like if I'm standing in line at the store waiting to like at the Publix deli, I'll kind of like zone out, but I'll be locked into something and I'm thinking about it. I'm not just like disassociating. So I don't know what that is. I'm going to speak to my psychiatrist about it, but I put it because it was something I noticed. The common side effect is loss of appetite. I feel hungry more often, and I feel hungrier. And I did some research just to make sure, because it made sense in my brain, but I wanted to be sure before I spoke on it. Apparently, this can also be a side effect of starting ADHD medication, because for the first time, you are really paying attention to your body's hunger cues. I have had a lot of issues with food because that is one of my most overwhelming things when it comes to the way my brain functions. I do not like to do anything with food. I don't like to shop for it. I don't like to prepare it. I don't like to sit down and eat it. So I go through states where I'm like not eating at all because I either forget to eat or I'm like, I don't have time for that, or I binge eat because I've gotten so hungry that I just eat like whatever is in front of me. It has been a constant struggle. And oftentimes I would go without eating. Like I would go all day without eating and then eat dinner. But now I'm hungry. I wake up hungry. I'm hungry at lunchtime. I'm eating more. I'm eating better. I am sleeping deeper. That is another thing that I have always struggled with. I'm not exaggerating. One of the reasons, if you're not new here, you know I had a hysterectomy. One of the things with that, I'm not going to go into that, but was because I wake up 5 to 6 times a night normally. When I got a hysterectomy, I was waking up 10 times a night to pee. Now, in the past week, every single night, I have woken up only once or twice. Okay, guys. It just keeps happening with the camera, so I completely cleared the camera, all the things. We're going to get through this. If you subscribe, hopefully next time this won't happen because I think it has something to do with the file size, even though I have room on my computer and my camera. I don't know. I was talking about how I sleep better. It is what it is. I sleep a lot deeper. Can you tell I'm just tired at this point? I'm able to read for longer without falling asleep. I am a huge reader. I think I mentioned it later on in the video. I have a book talk account. It's probably the most consistent I have been with anything. And I'm just a big reader. And I read 5 to 10 minutes and I'm passed out. Like I just cannot stay up for long periods of time. But now I'm reading a lot longer. I'm no longer procrastinating. I'm making phone calls with no fuss. This is one of those things where I think a lot of people are like, is that just being lazy? Is that having anxiety? I don't know. The thought of a phone call, just the steps that you have to go through to actually get what you want, just would irritate my brain so bad. I would literally rather drive 30 minutes, walk into the office and make an appointment than call and make an appointment. That's how much I would procrastinate it. So now I'm just like, whatever, I'll just call and get it done real quick. I did that yesterday. I got off the phone with the psychiatrist's office and I immediately called the dog hotel and made sure everything was good there. And I finished those phone calls and I was like, wow. That was really easy. Why do I put this off for so long? But it's just things like that. Like I'm now like, instead of thinking I'll just do it later or I'll do it when I'm whatever, I do it right now. My memory is better. Even I feel like it's taking some time for my brain to catch up, and I don't know if that's like a scientific thing. Like usually I would be at the store, I would forget something, I would leave and go, oh my God, I forgot, this thing. Now I'll be in the store and I might forget it for a moment. And then as I'm moving through the store, I'm like, oh wait, I need that. So I'm just noticing I'm having an easier time recounting information, memorizing things. Like my memory is just feeling improved. I'm not jumping from task to task, which that was the number one thing. I was like, how does medication change that? Because that's kind of I feel like the factor, the symptom that everybody describes how medication helps you. They all go, oh, it just keeps you focused on one task. So you're not moving from thing to thing. And I was like, how? Like how? That's just the way my brain works. I see something, I'm going to take care of it, whatever. No, now I'm literally like, I'll be doing something, I see another thing, I'm like, I will get to that later. I don't need to go do that right now. Whereas before I was like, here. I have been so hyper focused in on responsibilities. It's been fantastic. This is a weird one. I have researched it because I wasn't sure if this was an ADHD thing, but I feel like it has to be. I'm less concerned with my appearance, not in a bad way. I just don't feel nitpicky about it. So I have been in like the health and fitness space for years and years and years. And I kind of like oscillate between being like super vulnerable and just showing everything as it is and like whatever. And then being to where I will not show up if I feel like I look so bad, if I feel like people can pick apart things. Like I'm hypercritical about everything. When I film a video, it's like I'm so critical about every wrinkle and just literally everything. And lately, I have been like, I don't care. Like, I have been, ever since I started medication, like, I have been popping up on Instagram stories as I am. It doesn't matter if my hair looks stupid, if my face looks stupid. I'm just like, this is what it is. Hello, here. Today, filming this video, I was like, I don't really feel like doing my hair. Like, I'm not going to sit there. And before, if I knew I was doing a YouTube video, I would take time with my hair, with my makeup. And I don't want to say like I'm a slob. It's just like I'm less, like, I still want to present, but I'm not as aware or like hypercritical of how other people will react to it, if that makes sense. Like, I'm just not concerned about it. It is not a thought in my mind. And I did do some research. I looked it up. It can be a thing when you start medication, just because you're less in your head. Your brain is doing, less of this, just like blah, blah, blah. So you just don't spend as much time thinking about it. And I think that's where I'm at right now. And so right under that, I put that I'm less stimulated with clothes and hair touching my body. I rarely ever wear my hair down. And it's not, well, partly it's because I live in a hot state and it's really hot. So my hair is always like off my neck. But even when it's not hot, I rarely wear my hair down because I hate the feeling of like having it touching me. It's the same thing. I wear glasses sometimes and I just hate having glasses touching my face. I'm not feeling like that lately. I've been wearing my hair down. People have been complimenting me. They're like, I never see you with your hair down. Your hair looks so nice. It's not bothering me. Before, I would literally be doing this the whole time because the thought of it like touching here, I just felt like overwhelmed and overstimulated, and I'm not having that problem anymore. And then just to like wrap this up, because again, I could go on all day about this stuff. I was doing chores after starting medication. I was doing chores that I kept putting off for weeks, months. I told my husband yesterday, I said, I don't understand medication. I don't get it. My brain now, I'm seeing things that for the past few months I have been like, oh, I'll get to it eventually. But the thought of starting it just was so overwhelming. This week I've done all those little random things that you need to do, but you just don't. I'm talking things like taking all of my curtains down and washing those, cleaning the curtain tracks, like fully cleaning them, cleaning the windows internally and externally, scrubbing my porch, like taking everything off the porch and scrubbing the porch, dusting areas that maybe you don't ever see and they're out of sight, out of mind, cleaning like all the nooks and crannies of my washing machine, my dishwasher. Yesterday I ran a cleaning cycle with like, I scrubbed the inside of it and took out all the filters, like all those little things that, guys, I haven't shown you this. I literally bought that ADHD cleaning book off of TikTok because I was just having such a hard time managing my house that I was like, I need something to tell me exactly what to do when. And even though I know there are tons of free content online, that was an additional step that felt overwhelming. So I was like, I need this book that tells me exactly what to do when. That's the point that I had gotten to. And now that I'm on treatment, I'm literally doing this stuff without even thinking about it. I walk by, I'm like, oh, I need to do this. Let me just dust this really quick. Let me remove these things, take care of it really quick. Like, it is not even a thought in my mind to get it done right then and there.